What's up everyone, we're DPTV and this is going to be our Qatar Airways flight review and we're headed to Doha.
We decided to book this flight with Qatar Airways on their website directly, since it was one of the cheapest connections from DaNang, Vietnam to Frankfurt, Germany. The flight was scheduled to have a layover in Qatar, and to our surprise, the airline offers you to extend that layover up to a couple of days without any additional costs. We were scheduled to arrive midday in Qatar, and to slow down our travel day, we chose to stay for one night and leave early the next morning. We came across one problem during the booking process. The booking was confirmed, but our credit card was declined and further verification was necessary, which made the online check-in not possible, and a place on the plane was not guaranteed until we verified at the day of the flight at the check-in counter. There was no way around this, which was a little bit worrisome, but in the end worked out decently. The boarding for our first leg started on time and went down well. There was plenty of space in the overhead compartments for everybody's luggage, and since the flight was not fully booked, we were lucky enough to have a 3-seat row for the two of us. This Boeing 787 offered a very good amount of leg space, as you can see here. DeAnna is 5'7" and I am 6 feet tall. It may be worth mentioning too that due to the modern aircraft, start, landing and the overall flight were very smooth. Aside from the couple of magazines, the onboard entertainment was quite good, as we had a big and up-to-date selection of movies, TV series, documentaries, etc. This early flight was about 8 hours long, and after a non-spectacular but decent breakfast, everybody got a pastry, snack plus muffin during the second half of the trip. I would say this flight was just on par with every other international airline, and we made it safe and in time to Doha, Qatar. After a blazing hot layover, we made our way back to the airport at 5 AM the next morning. Doha is Qatar Airways' main base, and to our surprise, the check-in process turned out very stressful and unorganized. There was one line for the economy classes of all upcoming Qatar flights, of which there were about 20 in the next 2 hours. Because of this reason, there were plenty of people checking in for later flights ahead of us, and we queued for about 1 hour. When we arrived at the check-in counter, it was already scheduled boarding time for us, and the Qatar employee had to go through the verification process with us a second time. Granted, we could have avoided this by arriving at the airport more than 2.5 hours early, but this way of checking it seemed flawed to us, especially for an airline that tries to be one of the best. We then had to deal with trainees at immigration and security, and I can only recommend planning in a decent time frame if you ever have to leave from Doha's airport. After rushing to the gate, we made it just in time for boarding for the 6-hour morning flight to Frankfurt. This Airbus A380 offered about the same quality of legroom and entertainment than the previous Boeing. Toilets during both flights had decent amenities, but the cleanliness went down during the later parts of the flights, which of course is not the airline's fault. Again, there was a mediocre breakfast followed by a super tasty rolled kind of pizza snack later on. We had to ask for water multiple times, but overall the water supply by the flight attendants was good during this flight. We landed on time in Frankfurt, and baggage claim was quick and efficient, just like in Doha. Overall, we did not regret to fly with Qatar Airways. However, the verification problems, which apparently occur often and randomly with a lot of people, combined with the uncoordinated check-in and second verification at the airport in Doha, took us by surprise and made our Qatar experience less pleasant than ones we had with other premium airlines. Let us know in the comment section how your experience with Qatar Airways was, and if you had similar issues with other airlines.